Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again for the Saturday night SOP endurance race. This time we're at Laguna. I am on my own this evening. I'm going to bring you the action very shortly. I'm just very quickly waiting on this to load up. Another slight technical issue. Honestly, the amount of time we spend testing to get this nice and smooth, and there's always one little hiccup that jumps along just to say hello. So I'm very quickly going to jump into the server. I just need to quickly put a password in, so obviously we need to keep that covered up. Thanks again for tuning in this Saturday night. It is, of course, the Coach Dave Academy 1.5 hour Laguna Seca event. We have 14 drivers, quite a few of whom you will recognise. We are about to jump in with them now.
Green light, give it all you got.
Fingers crossed. And the game's blue screened. So sometimes you just get no luck whatsoever. So what we'll do is, here is the winter series that we've got coming up as well. Let me just get rid of all this. Goodness me. Sometimes it's just not going your way. So I do apologise, folks. We are having a slight technical issue. We are here for the Coach Dave Academy 1.5 hours at Laguna Seca. I am Double O Raven on Discord and all other corners of the internet. I'm just going to quickly wait on the game to load. Once it does, we will get right back in. Upcoming events, we've also got this little beauty coming out. It's a winter series on a Monday night. That's where the pros, we have the pros, amateurs and beginners. There's 3 series there. And it was hotly contested in the first race. Good afternoon. Well, stranger things have happened, and given the way the start to this evening's technological hitches have come up and bitten me in my solo little bum cheeks, we could well be in for an interesting one, to say the least. So I'm just quickly logging back in. Hopefully we'll stay in this time. If you're in the chat, say hello. We will bring you racing action very, very, very shortly. There is plenty of it. It's an 1.5 hour race, so we certainly won't run out of racing action, that's for sure. We can't take bets on whether I run out of things to say. Not sure if many people will be collecting on that one. Okay, so let us hide this and unhide this.
Green light, go, go, go.
I like the new graphics. And there we have it. We have ourselves some racing action. With all the flustering, you guys will remember better than me who was in first place. But it looks like Berries is still in the lead comfortably. Murdoch is in behind him with Triumph, Fern and AJ to the P. So to me it looks like the top 4 will stay the same as Ricardo and Stefan in behind him. So Stefan at some point has put a move on Lord Megatron in that Bentley. So we see Lord Megatron here making a move up the inside of Stefan into turn 5. As they come up to turn 6, which was originally turn 4 on this track. But he's putting a move there, but who's all over the place here? Fizzy Sniddles is in the pits. So Fizzy Sniddles is coming to the pits on lap 1. A bold strategy. We've got Tacos in 13th, Fireblade in 12th, Uni Clark is in 11th. Sorry, Uni Clark. Uni Clark and Benson has made a bit of a mistake there. He's dropped down quite a few places. Fireblade has jumped up to 11th with Black Andrea is in 10th. We're getting a nickname for that guy. Tonk is in 9th, Baggy's in 8th. Baggy was further down, so he's made up a few places as well. Stefan's in 7th. Lord Megatron has had the move well and truly done on Stefan. He got himself back behind the back of Target. He's got a bit of space now. AJ to the P. Turn 2. He's battling. Oh, Tyler Fern's running turn off wide, holds his line low, and I'm going to declare AJ to the P. He's got that one done in his Bentley. He has indeed. And I'll tell you what, that guitar dude is right in there waiting for either of these drivers to make a mistake and capitalise hugely on it if they do. Lord Megatron is under pressure from Stefan, who's under pressure from Baggy. So again, early doors here, and we've got a couple of excellent. Turn yourself up, John, or turn the engine sounds down. Let me just see. Is that any better for the engine sound? How's that? Sorry, just taking a quick drink of coffee. That's the problem when you're in here on your own. You get caught out. You can't take a drink of coffee. So, but it's all good. First world problems, I believe they call that. We're going to jump back on board. And I've missed that there. Checking the sound levels. So there we go, that should help a bit with the sound, hopefully. Oh, the sound's almost muted now. There we go. So yeah, let me try that on my mixer desk. How's that working out, guys? Hopefully that's okay. As we'll have a quick run through, we see that Berries is not having it all his own way here. He is out in the lead, but he's less than a second ahead of Murdoch the Menace, who's got himself 3.5 seconds to AJ, who is now ahead of that guitar dude in 4th with Lord Megatron in 5th. So those two have moved up the place. Lord Megatron dropped down, he's back up the order again. Baggy making moves up to 6th with Stefan in 7th, and Lacandia is in 8th, Fireblade 9th, and Tacos is making up in 10th. Now Fizzy Snuggles was in the pit, but it's not come off his mandatory pit stop. So I'm not sure if he went in too early and simply repaired some damage. So that's going to cost him. He's going to be miles down the order just now. But we'll jump back on with Murdoch the Menace, who is absolutely keeping Berries honest at the front of this field. And we'll keep an eye on the gap between themselves and AJ to the P. I think you were originally just a little far from the mic. Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of stretched at the moment. There has been some issues with some of my wiring, so I'm slightly stretched. That is some good coffee. Evening, Chris. If you're in the chat, say hello. Welcome along. Saturday night. It is, of course, it's still set to private. Yeah, I did have it set to private. And remember as well, one of these drivers, it is a Coach Dave Academy sponsored race, and the driver of the day will walk away with a full setup bundle or a full track map bundle. So there are prizes on the line for these guys tonight, so no quarter will be given or asked, as we're still on board with Murdoch. He is throwing that Lamborghini around this track magnificently. Porsche and Lamborghini, definitely two of the harder cars to drive, and as these guys settle in and start shedding some fuel and some rubber for their tyres, it could certainly be an interesting end to the race. With the first 9 minutes in, there has been some on-track action. Baggy looks like he might be about to make a move on our good friend Lord Megatron, or has he just dropped off a bit? In fact, I think he's got the move done. He has, so we've missed that there, sorry. So Baggy has got the move done, and quite convincingly got the move done on Lord Megatron. So it looks like he may have made a little mistake. So let me just see, has that helped the game volume any? I've just popped it up again. Hello there, MSX1978. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Nice to see the regulars back in the chat. So we'll jump back on board with Murdoch. This battle up the front is definitely the place to be just now. Uni Clark is creeping in on Fireblade there. And with this being an interesting pit exit, the pit stops, I don't think they're going to be long enough to play a massive part. Oh, as you see Murdoch running wide. So Murdoch's running wide coming through turns 3 and 4 there, as they're coming along the bottom, so that's going to give him a bit more work to do to catch up with Berries, and he's now got AJ to the P ruthlessly lurking in the background. Bullet Ape, how you doing, Brian? Welcome to YouTube, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. It is, of course, the SOP Coach Dave Academy 1.5 hour Laguna Seca event. And as if this wasn't enough for you, straight after this at 9 o'clock, there is another race. Our good friend Simon will be commentating on that one, and I'll be taking part in my Ferrari, of course. There is no other car to drive, although some of the drivers here tonight, as you can see, didn't get that memo. We've got Porsches, Bentleys and Lamborghinis ahoy. Not as many Audis as I would have expected, and one solitary McLaren there. So Chris Williams, you're still well represented. There's Mr. Falcon. How we doing, buddy? Welcome along. We're currently on board with Murdoch the Menace. We've been watching him intently. He is right in the middle now, so he's dropped a bit off of Berries, and he's just coming into the grasps of AJ to the P, who's getting himself a nice little gap to that guitar dude. So that middle of the field, we're now seeing a little bit of spread out here. Uni Clark has dropped a 10th off of Fireblade between 8th and 9th, so they two are still keeping one another very, very honest as we jump on board with the leader. And yeah, that's a great shot. As we can see, the Lamborghini is definitely looks significantly closer than it was excuse me, on the last lap. So at the start of lap 9, it is very much as you were at the beginning of the race, with AJ to the P the real winner here, as he moved up 2 places. And RTI Treable Fern, he was in 3rd place at the start of the race, and he finds himself back down in 12th. So I'm not sure if he made a mistake and had to hold his brakes before he came back on, but he certainly dropped down the order massively. So we'll see if we can maybe time his pit stop and see if he is in there from damage. There's Dr. Nailbender. Good evening. How we doing, Doc? Welcome along. Thanks for tuning in. We're watching the SOP hour-and-a-half Laguna Seca race. That's right, the one that you and I are taking part in at 9 o'clock. So looking forward to sharing some track time with you again, bud. And a few other guys in the chat as well. If you're racing tonight, say hi. Are you eyeballing the strategies? Are you eyeballing the track temperatures? I think we'll all be getting colder track temperatures tonight, so that's certainly going to be something to keep an eye on. As we're going to jump back on board with Baggy, who has put the move on Lord Megatron, and I think he's about to put the moves on that target, as he is once again very, very close to the back of a Bentley. And the last time he got this close, he got the move done. And as we can see up the front of the field, the Porsche is no slouch around this course, and touch of the indicators there, so it's, oh no, he's indicating on the right, so no, and he's going to squeeze him over. Side by side into turn 2 they go, and the Porsche just eats that corner up and away he goes. So Baggy makes himself a move up into 4th place. He could well be making himself a move towards that podium. Do we think he can catch AJ? Can he catch Murdoch? It's going to be very, very, very interesting. Gaming Shenanigans team will be my first race with you lot at 9 tonight. Look forward to it. Excellent, bud. What split are you in, mate? Let us know what split you're in. Some friends and I are in split 2B. So let me know. RR Catch, hello. Rockefeller Racing, hello there. How you doing, bud? It is a tough track. A lot of concentration. Very few forgiving points. My baby girl is watching. Yes, that's the way to do it, Falcon. Start them young, mate. Start them young. As we're on board with Baggy now, he's absolutely put the 2 Bentleys to bed. So we're going to jump back on board with Murdoch, because he is absolutely once again under the rear wing of a Porsche. Should be 2B. Excellent. Well then, my friend, you will be racing alongside myself. So I hope you're not too quick. And of course mean that in the nicest possible way. Oh, is there side by side coming out of turn 2 into turn 3? Are we going to see, oh, just enough room left of Lamborghini had to back out, and that's now let AJ to the P right back in. So AJ to the P has absolutely closed the gap up on these two, And I'll tell you what, we're going about to see some three-way battles. Porsche is dominant here. Ferrari is not good here. Okay, well, I'll be driving a Ferrari tonight. I did a 125.5, so I'll be hanging on to shirty tailies. We'll see. And speaking about shirty tailies, AJ to the P has now got to be rubbing his hands together. He's looking at himself a little two-way battle. They're going to come into the corkscrew. The cameraman really needs to change that angle. We're still on board with Murdoch. This is for the lead of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 15 minutes, 10 laps in. This is a very short lap. These guys will be doing race pace easily 125s. If not, perhaps 124. If anyone out there is watching any of the drivers got an onboard stream, if you want to chuck me some of the lap times they're doing, would be much appreciated. All the chat mechanic help you guys want to throw this way is always encouraged and welcomed. Oh, the corkscrew. Most fun corner. Of course, this is the Andretti hairpin and the corkscrew. Every other corner on this track has been imaginatively named. We've got turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, turn 9, turn 10 and turn 11. And that's the whole course. So they may have got imaginative on designing the course, but they certainly didn't when they were naming it. Props to Murdoch and the Lambo. Yeah, Rockefeller, yep, I say that every stream. Anyone driving a Lamborghini absolutely gets my massive respect, because that car is a challenge, I would say, to drive at the best of times. I mean, coming up and over that hump into the corkscrew there, the way that unsettles your car, doesn't matter how high your ABS is, your wheels are still going to lock up if you're 2 on the brakes as you go over that hump. And the Lamborghini is not a big fan of that. Very quick in a straight line, and if you can get it planted, it is quick, but wow, it's hard work. It certainly is hard work in a workout. As I take a quick drink of my coffee there, just quickly make sure that doesn't do that. So there we go. I think what else we need to do. Whoa, AJ's made a mistake. AJ has made a mistake. He is gone. I missed that there, trying to fix the sound. I hope the sound's now a bit better for you, but AJ's gone. So AJ is going to lose places. Well, this really did just get interesting. Of course, AJ and Baggy are both in Team Indigo Racing. I believe they both race for, that's why they're both sporting those colours. They did have the pro race all to themselves on Monday night, it's safe to say. They were out in the lead, they swapped over in the pit stops. AJ did make a slight mistake later on, but AJ's coming to the pits. So I think AJ's had some damage there. So AJ's coming to the pits. We can't jump on board. I know normally we would, but we cannot leave the two. We cannot leave these two as we turn them. Oh, was that a slight touch there? I think there may have been a slight touch, and the Lamborghini's going to take first place. Oh, and the Porsche's on wide. Did he leave him enough space there? Oh, that's a difficult thing from these camera angles. It's difficult to tell. It did look like there might have been a slight touch going into turn 2 there, but Murdoch the Menace, after 13 laps of patience, has taken the lead. With the big news really being that Tribal Fern was in 3rd place. He's back down in 11th. AJ to the P has had some kind of off. He's now in the pits repairing damage, with Baggy up into 3rd, and I think we're just going to have to stay on board with these two guys, because I don't imagine Berries is ready to give up this lead quite as easily as some may think, as they come into the corkscrew for the 14th time of asking already. Only 20 minutes into the race. This is a very, very short lap time, and as someone's just pointed out, we had a pole position of 1 minute 122. That's absolutely ridiculous pace. 1 minute 22. I was excited because I did a 1 minute 25 and a half earlier, so That just goes to show the level, control and speed and pace that these guys have in these cars. It's absolutely ridiculous. So as you see, Murdoch the Menace come over the line in the lead, with AJ to the P is now coming out the pits. So that just goes to show you how quick a lap this is. So AJ is going to come out with the pits, and he is way down the field. He's run off. So AJ's had a problem at the pit exit as well. He is usually at one with the Bentley. I don't know if it's a problem with the tyre temperatures or if his brakes just gave up on him there, but he's run out. So he's taken his mandatory pit stop, so he can run to the end, but he's down in 12th place. And he's been lapped by the leaders after making that mistake on the pit exit. So I don't think anybody ever expected it. It's one thing to see AJ make a mistake, but on the pit exit as well. So yeah, that'll be extra caution I will be paying tonight to that, and yeah, in my own race. We're still on board. Here we go through the corkscrew once again. Both of those cars looking absolutely fantastically planted with these guys at the wheel. Murdoch the Menace chased for 13 laps, got the job done. He's now in first and being chased by Berries, who's been hunted down by Baggy. They've got themselves a nice little gap to the guitar dude, who's ahead of Lord Megatron. With Lacandria blah blah blah. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to pronounce that for the rest of the evening. Lacandiandrea is in 6th, with Fireblade in 7th, and Cacciatagos is in 8th, with Triable Fern back up to 9th. Uni Clark's in 10th, Stefan is in 11th, AJ to the P, who is the only driver to so far have cleared. Oh, he thought about a move there into turn 2. Thought better of it, but that move will be coming. We will be staying on board with these guys. Obviously I normally run through the field, but I think we can all agree that these guys up front need some camera time, because this is some seriously close and competitive racing they're putting on for us here. With a little mistake there from Berry, so Baggy is closing him in. He's cut that gap down from 2.6 to 1.3 seconds in the last 2 laps. So he fancies himself getting slightly up the podium, and oh, MSX 1978. That, my friend, is an excellent question. How would heavy rain at Seca be? If there's heavy rain in my race tonight, I'm entirely blaming you, my good friend. So yeah, rain at Laguna Seca is crazy. The braking zone up to the corkscrew, that bump in the road, it's, yeah, you've got to take that in 2 stages. Yes, I think they call it testicular fortitude. Would be massively required to get yourself a decent lap time around Laguna Seca. It's much like Brands Hatch. It's very much the American Brands Hatch, or Brands Hatch is very much the American Laguna Seca. Whichever way you look at it, they are both very much up and down roller coasters with crazy banking. And I believe, no, it was Bathurst. Yes, so not Bathurst. Sorry, I think they were. I might be wrong, but I do believe that Laguna Seca, Bathurst, and Brands Hatch were all designed as motorcycle tracks to begin with. Brands Hatch actually used to run in reverse. So there we go. All 3 tracks as well, built in the 1950s. So that would be in keeping with the sport of the time. So there we go. Little juicy niblets of fact for you. Corkscrew would be a water slide. The corkscrew, corkscrew pretty much is a water slide. If your tyres are not at the right temperature, it's a water slide anyway. So as we see Baggy here in the background, we're still on board with Murdoch. We'll jump on board with Berries and we'll get a better view at this, because Baggy's taking another second. So while these 2 are battling up front, Baggy has got himself right into range, and I think within the next lap and a half we are going to see some serious action between these 3 drivers. Triable Fern is working his way through the crowd and normally would be jumping on board. It does look like he's about to make a move on tacos, but these 3 guys up the front, yeah, I think we can all agree this is an absolutely sterling performance these guys are putting in these cars, with a Lamborghini being ever so, well, not even discreetly hunted down by 2 Porsches here. As they come round into turn 3, oh, little dab of the brakes early there from the middle Porsche as they come round. Yeah, I was expecting colder temperatures as well, actually, Jix. I'm not sure if the race that we're in later on is going to be, or the race. Are you in the race, Chris? I can't remember, Jix. Are you racing with us tonight, or Are you on the beer and simply feet up and watching? These three guys aren't feet up and watching, I'll tell you that. They're absolutely on the edge as Baggy just ducks out the slipstream a bit so as not to cause himself any problems going into the braking zone in the corkscrew, but he's going to close that gap up massively. He definitely is taking huge chunks out of these guys in sector 3, so you would expect him to be making a move along the start-finish straight, given that he is less than half a second off the back. Valkyrie, no, I'm mechanic tonight. Okay, hi evening Valkyrie, do we have a chance of rain tonight? At the moment, I would say not. The track temperature is 36, and although we are only getting it weather in 15-minute integers, there is no cloud on the horizon at the moment, so I think it is a fixed weather event this evening. As there's Baggy makes a turn at the top. Oh, the two Porsches make a bit of contact, and Baggy says, yep, says what I can't say. But yeah, he says thanks very much. Gives a little elbow on the way through. It looked like there was just about enough space left, so I don't think there was anything, excuse me as I back on the coffee, anything major in that little contact there, but that's propelled Baggy up into second place. So Murdoch the Menace is leading. He has been for 5 laps, chased for 13 laps, and since he's taken the lead, he has been chased down by one Porsche or another. So he's now being chased down by Baggy, as AJ to the P is still back down in 12th place. He was involved in some kind of incident and pitted, so he has pitted, and now Stefan's pitted, so Stefan's in the pit as well, so that's another driver pitted. So easily these guys can go to the end. You could definitely get an hour's worth of fuel and an hour out with your tyre, so anyone pitting now will definitely be coming out and looking to get themselves some head down clear track and get out of there. That's not always easy on this course, with it being such a short lap, as is being Valkyrie's changed his name to be, I think it might be slightly different because it's later at night, so it might be colder. I think we're racing at night in the 2B, so I hope you've got your headlight button mapped. These guys certainly don't need the headlight button mapped. When I say Murdoch the Menace does, if he's not got a bright green purple Porsche in his background, he's got a beautiful orange and black and white Porsche in his rear view mirror, as these three guys are just an absolute procession, pulling themselves away. The gap to that guitar dude, they have widened it by 5 seconds in the last 3.5-4 laps. So this lead group of 3 are absolutely pulling themselves away. Stefan is still in the pits, so that's a lengthy pit stop, so I'm guessing he might have gone out on an emptier fuel tank and is now fueling himself up to the end. Good evening, Curly, you here? Unfortunately, Nova, no. It is only myself you've got in the comms box this evening. Simon will be commentating at 9 o'clock, so you will get some respite from me. But no, there isn't any other commentators in the box tonight. We hope you enjoy it anyway. Let's face it, it's all about the racing. But Curly will be back on Monday night. Not today, just there's Bailey there. So Bailey knows. If he's not commentating, he's watched. The only reason Bailey and I commentate is to guarantee front row seats to these races. Now come on Bailey, tell the truth. You know it's true, bud. So yeah, everybody say hi in the chat. We've got 20 viewers in the chat. Say hello, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're on the 1.5 hour Laguna Seca Coach Dave event. Murdoch the Menace, Baggy 38 and Berries 150 are out in the lead, and these 3 guys are vying for a Coach Dave setup bundle or track map bundle. So whichever one of these guys wins will be taking home prizes. So there we go. I'll need to, I don't know, I maybe need to go around and start puncturing tyres, and maybe I could win one of these things one day. No, I'm all about the taking part. So all about the taking part. Who else have we got? James Lee, how we doing, bud? I saw you message me on Discord, mate. Sorry, I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'll see you in tonight's race. You got some ball to commentate. I won't be commentating for 5 hours, buddy. I'll be commentating this race, and then I'll be racing straight afterwards. Which is probably just as bad, but I have a Tassimo coffee machine and a large variety of flat whites, and flat whites. So I will be caffeined out my little coupon, and I can assure you I will be kept going. As we see turn 2, the most action we've seen here this evening has definitely been in turn 2 as Baggy tries to put it around the outside. He could go for the cutback. Is he going to sneak it? Try and sneak it around on the inside of turn 3. The camera really does lag there. It leaves you in suspenders like a space capsule re-entering. It just goes black. Where are they? As they come round the turn 4, and Baggy, the slipstream's caught him out, so he's carried a bit much pace into turn 4. As they come round into turn 5, you'll be looking as they come up to turn 6 in the corkscrew to be keeping himself right inside there. I wish he could buy this game, mate. Yeah, 1 hour 30 minutes. I'm sure it's on Black Friday, Nova. This game is absolutely worth putting away the lunch money for, mate. Definitely get yourself a little jar, save up. Worth every penny, this one. As we are watching still Murdoch the Menace. Now these guys have actually left Berries a bit behind, so is Baggy going to get the job done as his teammate AJ to the P is back down in 11th. Now we know we usually scan up and down the field, but I think the battle between these guys absolutely deserves all the airtime we can give it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Oh, and there we go. So the Lamborghini's gone defensive early, so he's going to have to hold this centre line as he stays on the inside. Baggy looking to go round the outside once again, and he's thrown it around the outside. Can he make it stick? He's going to go for the cutback. He's got to go for the cutback, surely. And absolutely rockets out the corner. Got him up the inside of turn 3. No, he's pulled back in. Woohoo! So he's pulled back in. He is absolutely signalling his intent. As soon as the space is there, he is going to get the move done. And his control of that Porsche, let us be all... this is incredible stuff here. The control he's got here is unbelievable. As we see Berries in the background still. So he's still hanging on. They've now increased their lead to that guitar dude by 17 seconds. Him and that Megatron having a great race here in 4th and 5th. Lacandi Andrea, he's got himself up to 7th with Triable Fern back up to 7th. He was last. We've got Uni Clark in 8th, we've got Cachetacos in 9th, we've got Fireblade in 10th, we've got AJ to the P, the lead pitted driver, in 11th, we've got Fizzy Snuggles in 12th, and we've got Stefan in 13th. We have dropped one driver. We did have a few drivers that couldn't make it this evening, which is obviously massively disappointing, but sometimes life just gets in the way. So we do have 13 drivers and an hour left to race in. And it looks like Baggy is absolutely determined to steal all the camera time he can. He has dropped back to almost half a second, so he's dropped about a 10th. Again, the Lamborghini taking a slightly wider line just to defend going into turn 2. Sorry to leave you guys, got some practice to do. Yes, we will see you on track, MSX, bud. You have fun, race safe, enjoy, and we'll see you soon. I'll certainly try, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, let's hope I have as much fun as Baggy, Berries, and Murdoch the Menace have. These three guys absolutely putting a show up at the front here, putting in some stellar laps, considering how close they are to one another. AJ to the P and our good friend Triable Fern in the Ferrari, both involved in separate incidents, which has seen them tumbling down the field. Triable Fern's made it back. He still has a pit stop to take, but AJ to the P is finding himself over a lap down. Now that isn't actually that much because this is a short lap, and you're looking at about 40 seconds minimum to get yourself through the pit stops. So that's well over half a lap that you'll make up just when these cars take their mandatory pit. But no one's pitting this lap from the front 3 as Baggy is once again coming into the kink of turn 1, trying to find a way around this Lamborghini. Murdoch the Menace making that Lamborghini as wide as he can, catching that apex perfectly as they come out with turn 2, tearing into turn 3. They both come flying round, little tap of the brakes, throw the car in, ride the curb. Baggy again, just pulling his car out, just reminding Murdoch that he's there. He can pop his car, not that he'll need any reminding with that bright green car massively taking up huge chunks of his rear view mirror every single time he straightens that car out. And there we go again. So Berries has actually dropped off slightly. He was 8 tenths and holding there. He's now dropped down to about a second. still well within pit stops. So the pit stops here are going to play a massive part with these three guys. Who's got the most fuel, who needs the most fuel. There is one mandatory pit stop. You don't have to change tyres. It would cost you 30 seconds to change tyres, and the tyres can certainly do an hour and a half. It's just whether you can keep them intact for the whole hour and a half. And driving this close to one another, I think that Murdoch and Baggy may have some tyre issues later on, so they may change them, but the amount of time it takes, it might not be worth losing that much time with it being such a short lap. As we come on to start lap 26, 35 minutes in the race, we're on lap 26. Murdoch the Menace has been leading now for 12 laps, so he chased for 13 laps, he's now been leading for 12 laps. So Baggy right in behind him in second, Berry's in third, that Guitar Dude's in fourth, Lord Megatron is in fifth, with Lacandria in sixth, Tribal Fern's up to seventh, with eighth being Uni Clark in the solo McLaren in this race. Then it is a couple of Porsches, Cachetacos and Fireblade, as we see side by side into turn 4. Didn't quite get the move done there, so it's as you were for the last 3 or 4 laps. It is Lamborghini Porsche as they chase one another out of turn 5 up towards the corkscrew. Brakes nice and early, and there we see some back markers going through, so the leaders are catching up to the back markers half an hour in with the pace they're displaying. I can't say I'm overly surprised. Stefan was much higher up the field. He has pitted, so he'll be looking to catch himself a few places, possibly looking to overtake Fizzy Snuggles, who himself did pit very, very early, but it didn't clear, so I'm not sure if he was pitting for damage early doors or what quite happened there. We did have a few issues at the start of the stream. We have AJ to the P in 11th, we've got Fireblade in 10th, we've got Tacos in 9th, Uniclarks in 8th, Tribal Fern 7th, Lacandria is in 6th with Megatron in 5th, that Guitar Dude is in 4th, Berry's in 3rd, Baggy is in 2nd, and Murdoch the Menace in his Lamborghini is in 1st place. Kane Denham, how we doing, bud? Good morning to you. Fresh, bright and early, and ready to race in an hour or two, yeah? Yeah, but 6 no-shows, bud. Something we're not massively fans of, as you know. But we had 14 drivers start. We've had one drop out for whatever reason as we're watching Murdoch the Menace. So these guys are coming up to a couple of mid-pack back markers here. So this is certainly about to get beyond interesting. So let me just get comfortable, pop my feet up, and oh, let's hope so. One back marker's put on the brakes. That's, yep. So he's held himself with a corkscrew. Good lad. And it does look like the 3 race leaders have almost gotten themselves through. There is another back marker there in a Porsche similarly coloured to AJ and Baggy. Of course, AJ and Baggy are in the Indigo Team Racing. Yeah, that is naughty for the main, mate. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. He retracts that. Okay, didn't think there was anything wrong with that, King. But Murdoch the Menace is still in the lead after 27 laps. He's got Baggy 38 tucked in nicely behind him, keeping him very honest and absolutely looking as racy as it gets tonight, and definitely looking to get this move done on track rather than relying on the pit stops to perhaps get it done. We have spent the whole race watching these 3 guys. I don't think anybody can complain about the standard of the driving that we've been watching tonight. This has been absolutely some fantastic driving. Yes, definitely not the best, Kane. Definitely not the best. We would agree with you there, bud. So we'll get them. They should get qualifying bans. What do we think, chat? Anybody that doesn't show gets a qualifying ban for the next event. I'm okay with that. I'm going to throw that one right out there. Controversial commentator moment brought to you by Double O Raven. As he takes a drink of coffee. Sorry, I went a bit deep there. Oh, as Berries in the background there, talking about going deep. He's gone deep into turn 10 and he has absolutely come a cropper. So he is dropping right back off, right back into the clutches of those back markers, which was of course Cachetacos and Fireblade in the 2 Porsches. So we'll see. I don't think Baggy's going to Berries. Sorry, I do apologise. I'm saying Baggy here. It is of course Berries in the Porsche that dropped off there. So that has now left Murdoch the Menace and Baggy to battle this one out, and they will absolutely do that. Neither of these drivers looking to give any quarter. None given, nor asked, I would say. I was just checking that. So, yeah, there we go. Thumbs up from somebody in the chat. As here comes Baggy. Oh, and Murdoch's made a mistake. Murdoch has run too wide in turn 5, and Baggy. Absolutely sterling drive from Baggy. Started in the middle of the pack, made his way up. He's capitalised on a couple of mistakes, but more than that, he's hung in there, harassed, and he has forced Murdoch into making a mistake. Murdoch's run wide, coming out with turn 5 up to turn 6, and it has handed Baggy the lead. And not only has it handed Baggy the lead, it's given him a good 1 second jump start. So this race is now absolutely in the hands of our good friend Baggy. So we're just going to quickly jump through the field as I take myself a little drink of coffee. I hope no one minds. So now that battle's decided, let's see how the rest of our drivers are getting on, because we have given those leaders some fantastic airtime, but definitely well deserved. So we've got Stefano Audi. We've seen him drive before at Catalonia. He's prone to a little mistake, but can certainly get the job done if he gets himself some clear track. We've got Fizzy Snuggles in 12th again. We know that Fizzy's quick. He did pit on the first lap. For some reason it didn't register, so we're not sure if he had to pit for damage, but if he did, it's massively cost him time, and he still has another pit stop to take, so that's not looking great for a good ending tonight for our friend Fizzy, unfortunately. Fireblade is in 11th, seems to be sporting the same colours as Indigo Team Racing, so I'm not sure. Can anyone confirm any Indigo boys in the house? Is he part of the Indigo Team Racing? Our friend Fireblade here. AJ to the P is in 10th place. He has pitted, he was involved in an incident, was in the pits for a while, and he is back up to 10th, so miles out of position, but he'll be looking to do some serious damage in the second half of this race. We'll come up to the halfway point in the race. Tribal Firm has popped himself into the pit, giving Uni Clark 7th place. Black Andrea is in 6th. Lord Megatron, bow down, has got himself into 5th place. Him and the guitar dude having an absolutely sterling middle stint in this race, keeping themselves out of trouble on the track, keeping it clean, and they are within sight of one another once again, the Bentley boys. Berries is in 3rd, did make a mistake. He led the race for 13 laps, was overtaken by Murdoch and then unceremoniously by Baggy, but he's made himself a bit of a mistake and he's down in 3rd place and a good 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds off of 2nd place, which is our friend Murdoch, who chased for 13 laps, led for 15 laps and was overtaken by Baggy when Murdoch himself made a mistake. So Baggy is the big winner here. So while all around have lost their heads, he's certainly kept hold of his head, and it has held him in good stead, because he is leading the race comfortably by 3 seconds. As we come up to the halfway point, we still have well over half the drivers to pit. AJ to the P is definitely making moves through the field, so when we do start to see some pit stops, I expect to see him jump up at least 4 or 5 places. Murdoch the Menace has come into the pits. So Murdoch the Menace has come in, so we're wondering, is that just a little bit of to help his concentration, or do we think he's maybe got damage after his little off? He didn't seem to go far enough off to hit the wall, but you never can tell. So Baggy stretches out the lead. Berries will, of course, due to the length of this lap, take 2nd place. That guitar dude is in 4th place, and he has indeed pitted as well. Oh, that was ridiculous. Not the smoothest entry there. So Lord Megatron keeps himself out on track and will take 3rd place. So we'll see where Murdoch is. In fact, what we'll do is we'll jump on with AJ to the P. Now AJ to the P was involved in an incident, went off track, and we'll see if he can. We'll see how close he gets to Murdoch the Menace and the guitar dude when they come out of the pits, and that'll give us a fair idea of how far off AJ wasn't really mistaken, as you'll see him running that curve absolutely perfectly, coming up the hill towards the corkscrew, braking before the hump to stop the wheels locking up, throw it in nice and early, turn it nice and far, get that foot down, little dab with the brakes, throw it in, you want to get that left hand curve, get that right hand curve, and away you go to the penultimate turn, turn 10. Nice bit of curve there from AJ. So he'll be coming in, so that guitar dude he's exiting the pits, and so is Murdoch. So where will AJ come out to these guys? They're still moving slowly on the pit exit. We've got a car in the back and on the right. AJ has coming on to finish his lap. Lord Berries is coming to the pits. Murdoch the Menace is out and away. That guitar dude is coming into turn 3.
We are at the halfway mark. Keep pushing.
He's coming out turn 2, so he has made huge strides back up the pack. Not that we're too surprised by that. It is, of course, AJ to the P. And with Berries in the pits, he'll be looking to make moves here. Lord Megatron has stayed out for another lap, and so has Baggy. So these two guys still look at the pit. Baggy keeping it nice, sweet, clean, and just getting the job done. Another absolutely fantastic drive from this member of the Indigo racing team. I've seen him racing a few times now, and very rarely puts a foot wrong. He absolutely knows how to keep close to another driver, and this is just another display of carmanship here as we're watching this Coach Dave Academy SOP Motorsports 1.5 hour Laguna Seca event, and he is certainly looking like he's going to be the front runner to win himself a full set of Coach Dave Academy setups or track maps, whichever he chooses. We are 43 minutes in the race, so we are officially over halfway. Baggy's in first, Lord Megatron's in second. Murdoch the Menace is in third, and he has pitted, with Berries in fourth. That guitar dude's in fifth. AJ to the P is up to sixth place. He will be closing the gap. Black Andrea and Cachatacos. So it's all goes. So Uni Clark is in the pit, Fireblade's in the pit, Black Andrea's in the pit. Tribal Fern has pitted. He was in third place, remember, at the start of the race, so he was the big loser here so far. AJ to the P was involved in this and got himself back up to 9th. Tribal Fern will be looking to do something similar, I would hasten to suggest. He does have the undeniable Lamborghini of Murdoch the Menace behind him, and I think the way this is dropping, this is a blue flag situation for Fern, so this is quite tricky for him. As we see Uni Clark and Solo McLaren coming out the pit exits. So yeah, he's going to let him go up the inside, so yeah. Excellent driving IQ there from Tribal Fern. No point in making that difficult. He is slightly out of position. Lord Megatron has pitted. He is now on the pit exit, so it's about to be all changed. It's certainly not going to be all changed up in front, as Baggy is still cruising along to victory there. Come back. Yeah, sorry, I was. Oh, goodness me. Due to wire restrictions, I'm jumping back and forward to jump through the cameras. I'm going to fall and break an ankle. But yeah, that's fine. I'll put it in a crime. Oh, and we see Lord Megatron having a little bit of a sideways slide in the background of Baggy 38. So Baggy has still not pitted. He is pretty much the only driver that can, well, in fact, he is the only driver that can affect the top of the tree. That still has to pit. Tacos is a fair. He is now in the pits, but he is, of course, behind AJ to the P in 6th, and I would say that top 6 group is definitely the one that's leading the way. As we come on to lap 35, Baggy in the Porsche. He's now got himself a massive lead over Murdoch the Menace, and Berry's in 3rd, but of course, like I say, he still does have to pit. And with 40 minutes left, he has plenty of scope for when to do that. You can certainly get a good hour and a half's worth of fuel in these cars, but you do have to take on fuel in the pit stop. But you will obviously be looking to minimise the amount of time you spend in the pits, so running the tank down to empty is definitely the way to go. It keeps your car's average run weight lower, so it should theoretically give you faster lap times. Sorry, quick grab of the cup of coffee. So as we're looking through the field here, Baggy has got himself a comfortable lead with Murdoch the Menace in second and Berries in third. Lord Megatron and that guitar dude have got themselves a nice little niche there in fourth and fifth, but they do have AJ to the P ominously lurking them, hunting them down. He is only 8 seconds off that guitar dude, and with 40 minutes left in the race, AJ is definitely more than capable of closing that gap. I would suggest possibly even get himself back up as far as Lord Megatron, so that's going to be an interesting one to watch as we carry on. We're still on board with Baggy here, the race leader. He has not put a foot wrong this entire race. He's going to come round now to start lap 37. Still not pitted. He is the only driver that hasn't pitted now, and we do have 13 drivers on track. But judging by the gap that he's pulling away, I do think it's going to be difficult for anyone to catch him unless he has an absolute horror show on his pit stop. There we go then, the Bentley boys have decided they're going to have a little coming together, which will be music to the eyes and ears of AJ to the P behind him. So Lord Megatron is at the moment leading that guitar dude, but that guitar dude is ferociously closing that gap down on him as they come into the corkscrew. Oh, and the Lord Megatron has got himself a little bit out of shape there. That's going to absolutely allow that guitar dude to close the gap up in that black and gold Bentley of his, as the two of them go flying round turn 9 into 10. Oh, and Megatron's got himself a bit wide again. That guitar dude's certainly keeping himself nice and big in the rear view mirrors of Megatron, keeping him honest here as the two of them come across the start finish straight. And that guitar dude is very much in the slipstream here, so will we see Megatron defend? Yes, we do. Straight over to the left hand side to defend the apex, leaving that guitar dude to try and go around the outside, or tries for the cut back. Is he going to get the foot down early enough? Gets himself a good line, so he's going to keep himself nice and close. So this is a great battle between these two guys in these bus-sized Bentleys. Oh, and there we go. Megatron made a slight mistake. No, I think that was just that guitar dude getting himself out the slipstream for that particular section. That's not some place you want to carry too much speed. Once again, has a little look up the inside. So he's certainly showing Megatron plenty of looks. I'm here. I'm more than happy to stick my nose up the inside if you make the slightest mistake. Is there to go, a little dab on the brake. Oh, and he's lost the back a little bit. He's held it magnificently as the two of them come up the hill. They're going to go over the crest and they will suddenly appear nose first down the corkscrew. And Megatron gets a much better line in the corkscrew this time. After that mistake in the last lap, held it together fantastically there to fend off that guitar dude as they come through turns 9 and 10. A little dab of the brakes and throw it in, and again Megatron much tidier than he was in the last lap, so absolutely got himself back together in his stride. As you see just in the background there, the little green and pink, green and purple Bentley of AJ to the P, there he comes turning the last corner as these two guys cross the line to start their 38th lap. We are 1 hour into the race, folks. We've got Baggy leading, Murdoch to the Menace is in second, Berries is in third, and while we were watching that, I do apologise, I completely missed it. Baggy has pitted, so he's pitted and he's still 6.6 seconds ahead of Murdoch. So that is some serious driving he's got himself done there. Kept himself in the lead, and you would expect him now to keep this nice and clean as Lord Megatron makes himself a little mistake, touches a bit of the sand. He's now got himself a back seat full of that guitar dude, who I'm sure is strumming his favourite songs at the moment, trying to get this move done. The two guys in these cars, absolutely monster sized cars. It's actually 3 Bentleys we've now got in 4th, 5th and 6th, with AJ to the P just closing that gap. Not quite as quickly as we would expect him to be honest, but he is closing the gap and still has plenty of time to get the job done. And so does that guitar dude, who is definitely keeping Lord Megatron exceptionally honest at the minute, as Megatron has a beautiful turn 10 there, coming into turn 11. That guitar dude using plenty of the curb on the entrance and exit to that corner, as the two of them, again, just inside the slipstream. And as you can see there as well in the background, you can see AJ to the P was visibly closer than he was at the last lap, so he is definitely closing the gap to these two drivers. Oh, Lord Megatron's run a bit wide. Oh, and he's closed the door there magnificently. Coming into turn 2 as they come round to turn 3, and again, there we go in the background, AJ getting himself that little bit closer. So we could well see a three-way Bentley battle very, very, very shortly, folks. Going to be honest, very excited about that. And why is that going off? Can you guys, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Well, you never know, you maybe need some respite. I certainly need some coffee. Oh, and that guitar dude's made a mistake. I wonder if the overspeed from the slipstream, and he's going to come back on track, and AJ to the P is going to say thank you very much. And that has definitely made AJ's life easier. I'm sure he wouldn't be massively worried, but you certainly never relish rocking up on another two cars battling and then trying to get your way through. But he has absolutely got the job done there, thanks to a mistake by that guitar dude. So AJ to the P, looks like he ran himself a bit wide there as well, touched himself a bit of the grass coming out with turn 10 as they come through turn 11 for the 39th time, sorry, 40th time. So we're 40 laps in, and AJ to the P has got himself back up to 5th place. As we have a little run through the field, we can see that we have indeed got Baggy leading, with Murdoch the Menace now 7.5 seconds behind, so that's about a second of a gap that Baggy has managed to increase there, with Berries in third. We've got Lord Megatron, who is in fourth and is now being hunted down by another Bentley. This time it's the Bentley of AJ to the P. He dropped all the way back to the back of the field, took an early pit stop strategy, and has benefited massively and got himself back up to 5th, so he will be very happy with that. That guitar dude, having himself a magnificent race, he's made a little mistake. He's still up in 6th place though, got to be happy with that. After an hour of racing around Laguna Seca, to be comfortably in the top 10, certainly can't be many complaints. We've got Andrea in 7th, with Uni Clark, the only McLaren driver, in 8th. Triable Fern, who we're going to declare the big loser here. Like I say, he started the race in 3rd. Ended up back at the back of the pack, and the pit stops weren't exactly timed on either, so he finds himself in 9th, and Stefan in 10th, Fireblade in the Porsche in 11th, with Tacos in a Porsche in 12th, and Fizzy Snuggles bringing up the rear in 13th place in his Audi. So not a lot of Audis here. A lot of the races we've seen recently, there's been a lot of Audis, a lot of Bentleys, certainly a lot of Bentleys tonight, as we see Baggy just going past Fizzy Snuggles under blue flags there. That guitar dude has got himself back onto the rear of AJ to the P, so these three Bentleys are certainly not keen on letting one another out of their sights. It's definitely going to be a battle to the end for these three chaps. Can they work together and use some slipstream to catch up to Berries? You never know. Baggy looks like he's got this one nice and comfortable. The gap is now up to 9 seconds, so he is increasing that gap every lap. So he has got to be looking and thinking to himself that Coach Dave setup is in the bag. But it is Laguna Seca, it is the corkscrew. The track temperature has dropped by 3 degrees, but to be honest, that's probably only going to help. Unless you mistimed your pit stop for reheating your tyres, but with a 3 degree drop in temperature, that should help the drivers. Because you certainly don't have to worry about cooking your tyres if the track temperature's dropping, let's face it. So we're staying on board with that guitar dude. We're going to watch these three Bentleys coming to turn 1. Sorry, that's turn 2. Here we'll come into turn 3. With Lord Megatron, the lead Bentley, AJ to the P in 5th, and that guitar dude in 6th. The three of them, as you can see, visibly right on top of one another here. So this is absolutely the battle to watch on track now, as AJ to the P has a look inside turn 4, nails that apex, gets the car inside, gets in front, and Lord Megatron maybe had to lift a bit there, left enough space. Absolute beautiful overtake by AJ as they come racing into turn 5, up the hill towards the corkscrew, with AJ now the lead Bentley. That guitar dude is all over the back of Lord Megatron again, so this has simply reignited the fire between these two guys. So that guitar dude back on the back of Lord Megatron, who's just been overtaken by AJ to the P, who's got himself back up to 4th place. So that's an absolutely magnificent drive by AJ to the P. And Lord Megatron's run wide in turn 10. He's run off in turn 10. That's exactly where we've seen so many drivers have mistakes there this evening and cost themselves places. And Lord Megatron, in fact, I do believe, is that where, I think that's where that guitar dude made the mistake to let these guys away. He's got himself back in, so he is now once again chasing down AJ to the P. So these Bentley guys, they're certainly keeping me honest tonight. We do have 3 Bentleys. They are in a constant state of flux as to which one is leading. AJ to the P is up to 4th. He'll be looking to close the gap to Berries now. He's got himself a bit of clear track. Does have some back markers to get his way through, but that's one of the joys of a course like this. With it being so short, it is very easy to come across back markers on a regular occurrence. So AJ will have that to deal with. He'll be hoping to get through nice and clean to get himself a bit of space between that guitar dude who is harrying him around these laps. Now we're an hour and 2 minutes into the race, so these guys have been doing some fantastic lap times just now. We've seen very few incidents. We'll have seen a couple of spins, but these guys have done great keeping it on track so far. With the change in temperature, we haven't seen much of a change in the weather. It has stayed, apart from a slight drop in temperature, it has stayed nice and warm. So these guys have got great driving weather at the moment, as we're still on board with that guitar dude. And we can see those 3 guys stretching out a little bit now. As we talk about stretching out, Baggy's still in the lead. He's got that gap to 11.7 seconds, so almost 12-second lead now, with 30 minutes. So we're 2/3 of the way into the race, and Baggy has kept his head down while all others around him have let themselves go to pot. And the young man from Indigo Team Racing has got himself up into 1st place and has given his legs a little stretch there in the lead, as his teammate AJ to the P has got himself back up to 4th. And we're just going to keep an eye on the timing belt. We're going to see how close AJ is to Berries. Can AJ get himself on the podium? Anyone in the chat want to venture any guesses? What do we think? Do we think that AJ can get himself back on the podium? I mean, this is one of these moments where you write off AJ at your peril. I've commentated on him a few times now. There's a couple of times I wrote him off, and yeah, all he did was come back stronger, harder. So yeah, I'm going to say that AJ is in, and AJ has been overtaken by that guitar dude. What have I missed? I'm too busy looking down the field at the timing belt, and it looks like AJ has been overtaken by that guitar dude, and that guitar dude is now stretching his legs and leading off, and Lord Megatron is on the back of AJ to the P. So can anybody in the chat see what happened there? I was looking at the timing screen. Yeah, so it looks like AJ's made a mistake someplace up beside the corkscrew, perhaps. Is that what we missed? The mistake in the corkscrew, by the look of things. And that has dropped AJ back down to 5th, just as we were singing his praises, saying you can't ever write him off. And there we go. He does make a mistake. Finds himself back in 5th with a rear view mirror full of Lord Megatron, a fellow Bentley driver. So these 3 Bentleys are just chopping and changing place as and when they see fit. And bear with me 2 seconds. Turn the heating up. Didn't realise how cold it was in here. So yeah, so sorry about that. So we are 45 laps in, on lap 46. We're on board with AJ. who has certainly not had the cleanest of races tonight. He's made a couple of little mistakes. He's currently finding himself back down in 5th. We did think he could make it back to the podium. That does seem slightly more unlikely now with 25 minutes to go. That guitar dude though, the big winner there, again, himself has made a couple of mistakes, but he finds himself up in 4th place. So got to be happy with that performance. As we're on board once again with Baggy, took up so much of camera time at the start of the race. Another absolutely solid performance from that young man, as we have someone else who's disconnected. So that doesn't keep happening. Murdoch the Menace, car number 77, is in 2nd place. We've got Berries in 3rd. And that guitar dude finds himself up into 4th place. Made a couple of mistakes, but he's kept it clean otherwise. Kept it consistent, got himself round, and he's running in 4th place now. With AJ to the P, a fair bit back. Definitely capable of catching up with that guitar dude. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that battle and see how it goes. Lord Megatron down in 6th place. We've got Lacandria is in 7th with Uni Clark in our McLaren 720, black with a cyber blue, loving it. Coming into turn 1, Stefan is in 9th, just coming round turn 11, with the Tacos in the Porsche, followed by Fireblade in the Porsche, coming into the Corkscrew, making up 10th and 11th with Fizzy Snuggles, still firing in the laps in that Audi, back in 12th place. So let's have a look and see how our good friend that guitar dude's getting on. So he's got himself still that little bit of gap to AJ, who's got a little bit of a gap back to Lord Megatron. So the 3 Bentleys are now a little bit spread out. They've spent so much time together. There'll be separation anxiety between the 3 of them, I would imagine. As we're watching these guys, an hour and 7 minutes into the race, putting on a magnificent show at the SOP Coach Dave Academy Saturday night 1.5 hour Laguna Seca event. If you are watching, thanks very much for tuning in. Give us a like, give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter. One of these guys will of course be winning a Coach Dave full setup bundle or full track map bundle, and at the moment it certainly looks like it's going to be Baggy that will be walking away with the prizes with only 22 minutes left of the race. AJ to the P, his teammate, had an issue, pitted, came back out, got himself back up to 4th, has been involved in another little incident, whether he took himself off track, got overtaken, and he's back down in 5th, once again hunting down 4th place. Berries, who led the race for such a huge period of time, the first 13 laps, led the race, and was overtaken, made himself a little mistake and finds himself back in 3rd, so he's still on the podium, but I'm imagining he's going to be a little bit gutted considering he was leading the race. Took pole position, led the race for such a long period of time, one little mistake and that was him. So he will certainly be feeling aggrieved with his 3rd place. That guitar dude is in 4th and AJ to the P is still hunting him down in 5th. So like I say, these Bentleys have been very close, and there we see, is that Lord Megatron just in the background? No, that I think that is one of the back markers in a Porsche. So that's not Lord Megatron. So he is dropping off the back of AJ to the P. So that guitar dude and AJ are pulling away now from Lord Megatron. So they'll be looking to keep this on track. And AJ will certainly be looking to up his concentration slightly and see if he can get his Bentley around slightly smoother. He might be having tyre issues. He didn't seem to stop for a long period of time, so I don't think he's took on fresh tyres. So he does look like he's running the same set of tyres that he's ran for the whole race. So we'll see if that becomes an issue for him towards the end, because tyre wear is certainly not a massive factor, but after an hour and a half, if you've had a couple of spins, a couple of lockups, that can certainly cause problems. Yes, indeed, Bullet Ape. It is indeed a bit of a challenge keeping these cars on. Hopefully not too much of a challenge, because like I say, I'll be doing it myself in about 20 minutes time. So we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. So yeah, if you are watching, say hi in the chat, get involved. Remember, there is another race after this one. I am racing, the one I'm racing won't be televised, luckily for you guys. But certainly there is another race after this one, and we do have some American races later on as well. The American races, I believe, are Brands Hatch. So yeah, so we've got the Europeans at Laguna Seca, and we've got the Americans at Brands Hatch. It seems like a fair trade-off to me. Both courses are, of course, roller coaster crazy, insane, but always massive, massive, massive fun to drive. So certainly no complaints. As we're still on board with AJ, blue flag's waving. I don't think that is for him. He's not making many inroads in this lead that the guitar dude has. Takes himself a nice clean line through turn 2. Catches that curve perfectly on the way to turn 3. That guitar dude gets himself a nice line as well. So these two guys in the Bentley, hour and 10 minutes in, still showing some fantastic concentration, keeping these cars on track and putting in some solid lap times. The gap now, I think AJ might have missed the braking zone there slightly, because AJ has closed that in by a few tenths just in that last couple of corners. So he will be looking to hunt that guitar dude down. Oh, and he's run wide, pushing him maybe a bit too hard. See, this is the issue you get: you push too hard, you run wide, and you just make your life harder for yourself. As we see, both cars come through the corkscrew for the 51st time. So we are on lap 51. There should be about another 15 laps to go. So there is definitely a lot of tyre wear we can still have to worry about, or that these guys certainly have to worry about. So we've got Baggy, Team Indigo Racing. He is leading as he is coming round now through turn 10 into turn 11 with Lord Megatron just ahead of him. So if he's about to lap Lord Megatron, who is in 6th place. Has made a couple of mistakes himself, but was involved in some magnificent battles with the other two Bentleys. So massive well done to those guys already. As we see, Murdoch the Menace, again another driver, led the race for 13-14 laps. One little mistake and that was it. Baggy flew himself in. Berries, of course, the first driver to be leading the race and make a mistake, finds himself in 3rd with that guitar dude in 4th place, and absolutely keeping AJ at bay, keeping that gap at just over 2 seconds. So doing fantastically well, keeping that Bentley ahead of a fellow Bentley, as that Lord Megatron is in 6th with Lacandria in 7th. Uni Clark, oh, we've skipped past Uni, sorry Uni, there we go. Uni is of course the only McLaren driver we've got. He's in 8th with Stefan in 9th. Tacos in the Porsche in 10th. Fireblade, another Porsche driver, is in 11th with Fizzy Snuggles, bringing up the rear in 12th. Only 12 drivers left, unfortunately. We did have 6 guys. We did only start with 14 and we've lost 2 since the race started, so not the greatest showing, but the guys that have showed have definitely put on a show, because those first 26 laps, absolutely fantastic driving between the two Porsches and the Lamborghini, battling every corner. I imagine we're going to see more of the same as we see Baggy coming up behind Lord Megatron, who made himself mistakes. We've got Murdoch, we've got Berries in 3rd, and that guitar dude is still holding on to 4th and still keeping AJ 2.5 seconds behind. So he's absolutely on point here to be keeping AJ at that distance, as we'll watch AJ coming through turn 5 up towards the hill to go through the corkscrew once again, and there we go. So Baggy is put on that much pace. In fact, is that Baggy coming up? No, so Baggy's 2 cars behind. So Baggy is actually almost about to lap AJ to the P. That's the level of pace that Baggy's putting in at the moment. That is absolutely phenomenal running, considering the pace, because let's face it, we all know how quick AJ is. He's certainly no slouch, and is definitely no slouch in that Bentley. So Team Indigo Racing at the moment are looking 1st and 5th. I'm sure AJ will be looking to close the gap on that guitar dude, but he doesn't seem to be doing so at the moment. well, maybe gained a 10th on that lap, but certainly nowhere near enough, I would say, to close the gap over this next 15 minutes. He can see that Guitardud ahead of him, but the gap just not closing, so we'll have to see how that one goes and if AJ can indeed close the gap. We're having a jump through the field there, just as I said he was looking nice and safe and keeping him at bay. AJ has closed the gap by 1.1 seconds in that last lap. So I'm not sure if AJ's watching and suddenly been spurred on and decided, yes, I can definitely close that gap. So he's now down to a second and a half. So he will absolutely be looking to take 4th place from that Guitardud. They've left Lord Megatron behind. He's now a good 16 seconds behind. So he'll simply be looking to fend off the challenge from Laguna behind him. But AJ to the P definitely looking, and yep, so 1.7, so he's dropped off another 2/10. But he definitely closed the gap massively on that last lap. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that momentum and get a move done on that Guitardud before the end of the race. With 13 minutes to go, we are on lap 55 of the SOP Motorsport Coach Dave Academy 1.5 hour Laguna Seca endurance race. If you're joining us on YouTube, Twitch, wrong channel. If you're joining us on YouTube, thanks very much. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, say hi in the chat, we'll give you a hi back. You can follow on Twitter. You are watching the race, there are prizes galore. The winner of this race will of course receive a Coach Dave Academy full setup bundle for a car or a full set of track maps. And at the moment that definitely looks like Baggy has got this one in the bag. See what I did there? He's 24 seconds ahead of Murdoch the Menace, who is 6 seconds ahead of Berries, who is about 3/4 of a lap ahead of that Guitardud. So the top 3, barring any mistakes, which we have seen in this race, looks to be all done and dusted. But AJ to the P is still closing down on that Guitardud. So whether that Guitardud made a mistake, because the gap's now slowed to about a tenth per lap. So he did close up about a second and a half in one lap, and then now he's back to closing in about a tenth at a time. So this is certainly going to be interesting to see if you can catch up. Hello Dana! How you doing Saturday night, kid? You behaving? You enjoying yourself? You've got your dad working hard? Everyone in the chat, say hi to Dana if you are watching. Thanks very much for joining in, Dana. I appreciate that. I hope you've got the good headphones, or am I coming through the loudspeakers? I might be coming through the loudspeakers. How cool would that be? As we're watching AJ to the P. Hello there, JB81. Hello there, great video. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, mate. This is SOP Motorsports. Luckily, the drivers do all the work for us, and there's been some fantastic driving on display tonight, and there's going to be even more very shortly. There is another race starting very soon. Straight after this one, you will be in the more than capable hands of our good friend Simon, and he will guide us through the 9 o'clock race. One of them I will be taking part in as well, so I'm absolutely delighted about that. It'd be even better if I could find my computer mouse and make things work, but nope, it has decided to escape me at the moment. We're still on board with AJ to the P. This gap with that Guitardud is still sitting at 1.7 seconds, so he is not making any inroads with 11 minutes to go. Baggy, lap 57, still in the lead with Murdoch the Menace in second, and Berries taking the last podium position. We've got that Guitardud in fourth, AJ to the P in fifth, Lord Megatron in sixth, Lacandria Dia is in seventh, Uni Clark's in eighth with Stefan in ninth, Cachatacos and Fireblade in 10th and 11th in the Porsches, and Fizzy Snuggles in that number 33 Audi in 12th place. So this is a very short, very taxing, very technical track. There is 0 points in time you can take your foot off the gas or let that lapse in concentration creep in. You need to be on the ball. As AJ to the P is suddenly taking half a second out of that guitar dude. So I'm pretty sure he's watching and listening and just likes to make a mockery of my commentary. Just as I said, he wasn't closing the gap. He's just taken half a second out of the lead that guitar dude has been maintaining for the last few laps. So will we see him make a charge for 4th place in the remaining 9.5 minutes? We are certainly going to find out. As I reach for my coffee once again. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Definitely should have thought about that before I jumped in. So AJ to the P then, 1.3, so dropped off a 10th again. So that guitar dude is certainly answering anytime AJ closes that gap. That guitar dude is certainly getting himself together and getting that one straight again. Jump on board in his black and gold Bentley and watch that guitar dude for a couple of laps. Like I say, he's absolutely keeping it together. AJ is now less than a second behind. So with 9 minutes to go, it looks like AJ is definitely going to hunt down the second place. And not only that, they're only 5.5 seconds off of Berry, so they have in fact closed the gap. I just started ACC Xbox when I'm using the wheel and button box. It's great. JB May, yes, it takes a bit of time to get used to, bud. Definitely takes some time to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it's brilliant. Francesco Balomo, hello there as well. Will the stream? Yes, the next race will be streamed 9 o'clock, bud. It should be starting, yeah, in about 5-10 minutes, mate. Just after this race is finished, you will have Simon streaming the next race for you, bud. So don't you worry, your Saturday night's entertainment is not even close to finishing. Oh right, that's my notification telling me that my race is starting soon. Excellent. So we are still on board with that guitar dude who is being fastidiously hunted down now by AJ to the P. AJ's really picked up the pace and he's closed that gap to 6 tenths. You're welcome, Francesco. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe, mate. Join the channel. You'll be able to watch the commentary or even join the Discord. Come and join Discord and you could join in the racing. That's the best way to do it, buddy. Join in the race yourself and let us commentators guide your friends to how well you're doing. And speaking of how well we're doing, AJ to the P got himself back up to the 4th after making an early mistake, made another mistake in 4th, found himself back in 5th, and he is now closing the gap much later on the brakes here into turn 2. My money's on AJ. There we go. Bullet Ape is back in AJ, and I think that could be reasonably safe money with 7 minutes to go. So I'm going to leave you on board. How do, man? Fell asleep and nearly missed our race. Haha! Wow. E-Monster. Another classy one there, mate. Well done, bud. So I'll tell you what. Normally I would have a co-commentator to talk for a couple of seconds, but I really need to go and grab a drink. So I'm going to leave you on board with that guitar dude who's been hunted down by AJ to the P. There's only 6.5 minutes left. There is the Discord link being shared by SOP Motorsport. Thank you very much. It's almost like they knew. Give that link a click. Join our Discord. We're very close to 1,000. Will you be the 1,000th member? Will you be on the podium the next time we race? These are questions only you can answer with a click of a mouse. As we watch these two guys, I'm going to very quickly grab a drink because you can hear my throat going. And I will be back very shortly. Let's see, I'm already hello, race now. Excellent, Francesco, well done, bud. As that guitar dude is still just fending off AJ. But AJ with 4 minutes to go is definitely, this is going to mean they've got a back marker. Oh, don't pull over there, kid. Oh, there we go, he's let them through. That could have been interesting. So here we go, coming into turn 2 again. AJ much later on the brakes in that Bentley. He's got himself a nice smooth setup on that car. Got his brake balance working perfectly. And he is definitely looking to get this done. So it definitely looks like it's going to be a grandstand finish. And Berries as well, closing the gap on the driver in front. And that guitar dude. Whoa, rear view mirror full of AJ to the P. Now less than 3/10 behind. AJ will absolutely be looking to get this move done very, very, very soon. Has a bit of a wiggle coming out the corkscrew. Takes himself a slightly different line to get the power down quicker. Coming into turn 10, the two of them dabbing on the brakes, throwing it into the apex. Both cars running beautifully on the out. None of them running near that curve, so the tyres are obviously going as they come into turn 11. One of the tightest turns on the course. Of course, only matched by the Andretti hairpin, which is turn 2. As they come around turn 1. So the guitar dude, he has defended, but AJ once again in turn 2 looks like he's later on the brakes. Both of them take identical lines as they come through here. So AJ still being made to work for it. 2 minutes 40 seconds left to go, which means there is not many laps left of this race. Baggy's still in the lead with Murdoch the Menace in second and Berries in third. But who will finish in 4th place? That is the question we are currently pondering. That guitar dude doing an absolutely magnificent job, keeping himself clean, keeping it straight, keeping it on track and keeping the laps consistent and keeping AJ to the P behind him, which is the most important thing at the minute. Both of them run through turn 5 beautifully up the hill towards the corkscrew, slam on the brakes just before that hump, hope they don't lock out, down to first gear, throw it in over that curve. Both of them hitting that absolutely magnificently. AJ taking a slightly wider, faster line. Looking to close that gap coming into turn 11. This is of course turn 10 they're coming round. If you can get a good exit here, both of them running. AJ's coming to the pits. AJ's coming to the pits. AJ has come into the pits. Okay. Anyone that had the money on AJ, he maybe heard that we had money on him. Why? So AJ's come into the pits. I'm very, very confused by that. I'm not sure exactly what's happened there. I don't know if he picked up damage or... He is coming back in. Well, there we go. Yeah, that's motor racing for you. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. AJ looked like he was absolutely closing in on that guitar dude. He's pulled into the pits with less than 2 minutes left of the race. So I'm not sure entirely what's happened there, but it does mean that Baggy is a minute and a half from winning this race. There we go, he's under fuel. There we go, yeah, perhaps going to run low on fuel. Yes, well pointed out, Jigsaw. Didn't think of that, but yeah, that's going to be a sore one of us because that's cost AJ. He has come out back out the pits in 5th place. with Lord Megatron in 7th, Lacandria's in 7th, sorry. Stefan's in 8th, Uniclark's in 9th, Tacos in 10th, Fireblade in 11th, and Fizzy Snuggles is in 12th.
Right, man, leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
I would hasten that this is going to be the last lap with 8 seconds to go. Baggy is the fastest person I've seen on PS4, hands down. He is very, very quick, J Muir. Is that J-Mar? We'll go J-Mar 35. How's that, bud? I hope that's okay for you. Baggy is ridiculously quick. Certainly no denying that. As he's coming up behind that guitar dude who's in 4th, so he's lapped the entire field, including AJ. So he has lapped almost the entire field if he gets past that guitar dude, who is in 5th. AJ to the P has come back out the pits and made it and kept 5th place with Lord Megatron in 6th and Lacandria in 7th. So yeah, we were expecting an overtake in the last few laps, but we have been denied that, unfortunately. Yeah, only 12 people left. We unfortunately had 6 no-shows, who will probably name and shame, hopefully. 6 people didn't show, and a couple of people have dropped out, unfortunately. Oh, and that guitar dude has himself a bit of a wiggle coming out the last corner, almost takes out our race leader as they come in the last turn. And we are, of course, on board with Baggy 38, who has just taken the checkered flag. So congratulations to Baggy 38, ran himself a magnificent race. Started midfield, I think 6th or 7th. Hunted them down. Berries led the race for 13 laps. Was hunted down by Murdoch, who then took the lead for 13 laps. He was then overtaken by Baggy, who led for the remainder. So that really is also, you should turn down the game volume a little bit. Yeah, we have been working on the game volume a bit, but sorry, there's been much fun. Plus, I'm not sitting right next to my microphone at all times. But that is the race done, as we see the last guys come over to complete the podium. That guitar dude will be very happy with his 4th place, as AJ to the P is back in the pits in 5th. Lord Megatron is going to take 6th with Lacandria in 7th place. Stefan in 8th, Uniclark in 9th with Kaja Tacos in 10th place. Fireblades in 11th, and Fizzy Snuggles is in 12th. So yes indeed, go Baggy. That is really proper alien pace. What a driver that guy is. So yeah, another absolute alien performance from the man known as Baggy from Team Indigo Racing, as we see that guitar dude, the final driver to cross the line, gets himself a 4th place. He'll be very, very, very happy with that. So Baggy taking himself home either a Coach Dave setup bundle or a Coach Dave track map bundle. So yeah, so there we go. Absolutely fantastic hour and a half's racing from these guys. I'm going to quickly jump off now, because I am indeed about to take part in one of these events myself. I'm just going to bring up, we do have an upcoming event to share with you. Let's just pop this up. It is, of course, next week. Next event is an hour of Brands Hatch. That will, of course, be tonight. It's the 13th, sorry, for the Brands Hatch. And we've also got the Sprint Series on Monday, which will be round 2, which is in Misano. So make sure you guys are all tuning in for that. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We will be back very, very soon with another race for you tonight. It will be another hour and a half event. So we hope you can tune in for that. Yeah, it wasn't by your mic. Yeah, sorry, the wires are too good. So we'll hope you enjoyed. Thanks everybody for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you all again soon.